Ever wonder if you should say a lot or lots of? Or what is the difference between few, a few, the few? It's so confusing, isn't it? These are just little words that we use every day in our conversations to specify the quantity of something. These words are called quantifiers. Learning about quantifiers and using them correctly in your language is quite important, and it can make your speech clearer and more fun. Today in this video, we'll learn the use of quantifiers in English language. Welcome to Fluency Goals. I am Mandeep, and together we'll achieve our goals to fluency. So the quantifiers that we are going to learn today in this video are much, many, a lot of, lots of, few, a few, the few, little, a little, the little, some, any. Now, before we begin learning about quantifiers and how to use them correctly in the language, we must familiarize with the concept of countable nouns and uncountable nouns. Now, what are countable nouns? Countable nouns are simply the nouns that you are able to count physically, like pencils, tables, chairs, fans. And these nouns, they have their regular plural as well as singular forms. So pen, pens, apple, apples, dog, dogs, cat, cats. So these nouns have very clear plural forms and they can be counted in numbers. One pen, 5 pens, 10 pens. So countable nouns, they can be preceded with numbers, and articles a and can be used with these nouns. Now, what are uncountable nouns? Uncountable nouns are those things that cannot be counted physically or individually. They are often substances, concepts, or abstract ideas. Concepts or abstract ideas like information, honesty, love. So these things, they cannot be counted individually, and these do not have their plural forms. As these do not have their plural forms and it is unable to count these things, they are not preceded with numbers like one love, two waters, five information. It will be incorrect to precede these nouns with numbers. And the article a and are not usually used with these nouns. So we cannot say a water, an honesty. So I hope the difference between countable and uncountable nouns is clear. Now let's move on to learning the quantifiers much and many. Much. Much is used to determine the quantity of uncountable nouns. It can be used in the question or negative sentences. I don't have much time before the exam. So it's a negative sentence specifying that there isn't enough time. How much rice do you want? So much is used with uncountable nouns. Now let's learn about the usage of many. Many is used with the plural countable nouns. Similar to much, it's a large quantity of something. But the use of many is to be used only with the countable nouns, which you can physically count. How many jars are there on the table? There aren't many cookies in the jar. So you are able to physically count the cookies. So you are using the quantifier many to specify the quantity of cookies here. Coming to the use of a lot of and lots of. A lot of and lots of are both used to indicate a large quantity of something, a large quantity of amount of something. These can be used interchangeably, but there is a subtle difference in their usage. A lot of is slightly more formal in its usage, and it is often used in formal writing or speech. She has a lot of experience in that field. We made a lot of progress on our project. But if we are using lots of is more informal and conversational in its usage. There are lots of people at the party. We saw lots of animals at the zoo. So both phrases, a lot of and lots of, convey the same meaning, but a lot of is slightly more formal in its usage and lots of is slightly informal in its usage, and it is generally used in everyday conversations in informal context. Now let's learn the difference between the usage of few, a few and the few. Few is used with plural countable nouns and it usually indicates small quantity of something. Now, when do we use few and when do we use few with the article a few or the few? When we say few, we mean a small number of something, almost none of something. When you say few, you mean almost nothing is there. There are few cookies in the jar. When I say few cookies in the jar, it means there are almost no cookies left in the jar. Now, when you add an article a to few, it means there is some quantity, but it is not a lot. It's like saying there's a bit of it. I have a few toys in my room. It means I have some toys, but not a lot. There were a few mistakes in my homework. So when I say a few mistakes, so that means there were some mistakes but not many. But if I remove the article a, there are few mistakes in my homework. That means not many. So remember, few is here means almost nothing. A few, there is some quantity but it is not much. Then comes the few. Where do we use the few? The few refers to a specific small group of something. So we are talking about a specific and small group of something. The few apples left in the basket were rotten. So that means all of the apples that were in the basket, they were rotten. So it means all of it, all of a specific quantity. So you get the difference. Few means very little amount, almost next to nothing. A few means there is some quantity but not a lot of it. The few means all of specific quantity. The few apples left in the basket, the few people that came were not happy. So whatever all of people that came to the party, they were not enjoying it. The few people that came to the party were not enjoying it. The few students who didn't finish their project need to stay after class. That means all the students who did not finish the projects. So the few will refer to a specific group but all of it. So few means hardly any, a few means some of it, and the few refers to a specific small group. Similar is the usage of little, a little and the little, the only difference being that little is used with uncountable nouns whereas few is used with countable nouns. So when we say little, we mean almost nothing, almost none of the small amount. There is little water in the glass, so there is almost no water in the glass. So the quantity is so less that it is almost next to nothing. She has little interest in playing video games. That means she has almost no interest in playing video games. But if I say a little means some but not lot. It's like saying there is a small amount of something. I have a little money in my piggy bank. That means there is some money but it is not a lot. He showed a little improvement in his grade. That means there was some improvement in his grade but it was not a lot. But if I add the article the to say the little, it means specific small amount of something. So the little milk that was left in the jug was spoiled. So whatever little milk was there in the jug, it was spoiled. The little food we had was enough for dinner. So it was little quantity, but whatever was it, all of it was enough. It was sufficient. She used the little money she had to buy groceries. So this means all of the money that was not much, all of the money that she had, she used it to buy groceries. So little means hardly any, a little means some. The little refers to specific small amount. So all of specific small amount. Now let's learn the use of sum. Sum is used for unspecified amount or quantity. So whenever you say I have some money left, that means you are not sure how much. It is unspecific amount and it is a small amount. Sum can be used with both countable nouns and uncountable nouns. I have some books. So here it is being used with countable nouns. There is some water in the jug. Here it is used with uncountable nouns. So in both these cases, sum indicates unspecific amount of quantity. I have some books on my shelf. So you are not sure how many books, but it is unspecified amount of books. So sum can be used in positive, negative or question forms. So it will tell you about the presence of something without any specific amount or quantity. So it doesn't specify exactly how much. The use of any. Like sum, any can also be used with both countable and uncountable nouns. Any can be used to inquire about the existence of something, the availability of something, regardless of its quantity. So if I say, is there any water in the jug? You are just inquiring that if there is any water in the jug and you are not inquiring about the quantity. So here it is being used with uncountable noun. So we can use it with countable noun as well. Do you have any apples? So here it's used with countable noun. So again you are inquiring about the availability of apples. You are not concerned with the quantity. So any is generally used in question forms to inquire about availability, or it can be used in negative sentences. But any is not used in positive sentences. Do you have any plans for the weekend? I don't have any money. So here in the second sentence it is used with the negative sentence. In the first it is used with the question sentence. So if you say I have any pen with me, it is incorrect. So any cannot be used in the positive sentences. So that was all about the usage of quantifiers. I'll see you next week with another lesson. If you like this video, then please give a like and don't forget to share it with your friends. Do subscribe to my channel if you have not done yet. Thank you and happy learning.